Welcome all to the July meeting of Full Council. I hope you've all had a chance for some rest and relaxation after a busy period of elections. We have a relatively few items of business to consider this evening. Before we begin, I will deal with some procedural matters and make several announcements. Also, I was going to say if anybody wants to take the jackets off, do so, but I think they've fixed the air conditioning now, haven't they? So, the first item, apologies. Do we have any apologies, please? Councillor Bonzo.
Councillor Steele Wright and Councillor Swan.
Councillor Graves.
Councillor Graves.
Councillor Evans.
Anybody else? No? Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, please? No? Thank you. We'll move on. Item 3, minutes of the meeting of Council held on the 22nd of May and the 18th of June. We will now approve the minutes of both the annual general meeting and the extraordinary meeting of Council held on the 18th of June. Will somebody move these minutes, please? Councillor Pearce, thank you. Have we a seconder?
Councillor Ingle.
Councillor Ingle, thank you very much. Are there any speakers? If not, I'll proceed to the vote by a show of hands. All for the motion, please.
Approve the minutes. Do you approve the minutes? Approve the minutes. Yes. Do you approve the minutes?
Any against? That's moved then, thank you. Item 4, announcements from the Mayor. I have several announcements to make this evening. Firstly, I'd like to thank all those councillors, officers and residents of Derby who have wished me well during the first 2 months of my term of office. I've already had so many wonderful experiences and met such an interesting variety of people. Personal highlights have included attendance at the D-Day 80 commemorations in Derby Cathedral and meeting a 109-year-old veteran of the Normandy landings, joining members of the Hindu community at the Gita Bhawan Temple for prayer of the Mother of the Universe, Goddess Jura. Only the second time the temple has held this unique prayer, which is rarely undertaken in the UK. Meeting the Derby ambassador to Osnabrück and other delegates from our twin city during their visit to Derby in June. Hosting veterans and serving members of the armed forces to a civic coffee morning to mark Armed Forces Week, as well as joining dignitaries across the county for the annual commemoration at the Mercian Regiment's Memorial at Cryche. I was also extremely moved to attend a service of remembrance to mark the Srebrenica Awareness Day on the 11th of July. We must never forget the genocide that took place on the same date in 1995, in which more than 8,000 Muslim men and boys were murdered by Bosnian Serb forces, and we must stand firm in our commitment to oppose all forms of hatred, discrimination and prejudice. On a less sombre note, I'm looking forward to getting out and about over the rest of the summer months to sample more of Derby's fantastic events for children and families. There are a whole series of events taking place in our parks, libraries, museums and leisure facilities aimed at entertaining the young and old alike. There will be music, sports, animal handling, crafts, graffiti art, gaming, climbing and more taking place at family hubs across the city, as well as the return of the holiday activities and food programme, offering thousands of free holiday club places to Derby children who are eligible for benefits related free school meals in Derby. Please do what you can to promote these fantastic events and important initiatives to your residents. And also, on another note, we have Derby County back in the Championship. Thank you. Since we last met, there has been a small matter of a general election to contend with. So many of you in this chamber, including me, were involved in those, either candidates, campaigners, or those supporting the safe and secure delivery of the polls themselves. I know how much energy and commitment is required for such an undertaking. I hope you've since had an opportunity for some rest and to spend more time with your loved ones. In particular, I'd like to congratulate Councillors Shanker and Whitby on their elections in the Derby South and Derbyshire Dales constituencies, respectively. We all wish you well in your parliamentary careers. Commiserations for those candidates who weren't successful. It takes a lot of courage and dedication to stand for election at any level, and I'm certain you gave a good account of yourselves. Finally, thank you to the returning officer and her team for hours of hard work behind the scenes to ensure that electors in Derby could have their voices heard. Thank you. Item 5, statements by members of the Council Cabinet. We now move to statements from the members of the Council Cabinet. I understand that no statements have been received on this occasion. Item 6, questions from members of the public. We now hear questions from the members of the public to Cabinet members. We've received 3 in total. As we have done for recent meetings, we'll move directly to supplementary questions unless response has not been provided in the booklet, which I believe it has. Is there a Mr. Tice here tonight?
No, not here.
Not here, so I'll move to Simon Bacon. Mr. Bacon, you have 2 questions. Firstly, on food waste collection dates. Do you have a supplementary?
I have, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you for your response, Councillor Dinser. When food waste is removed from the brown bin by this change in legislation, can you assure the residents of Derby that the council will not reintroduce the controversial brown bin charge on garden waste? Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, Councillor Dinser. Mr. Bacon, you have a second question on weed growth. Do you have a supplementary?
Yeah, it's not the kind that you grow in a loft either, I should add. I have, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you for your response, Councillor Dinser. At full council in November 2023, you told me in an answer to my public question that you were working to coordinate a deep clean of the worst streets in Normanton. David Attenborough regularly tells us we need to regreen the planet, but I doubt that includes the 5-foot ash tree on Bethune Road, the 3-foot wildflowers on Balfour Road and Pear Tree Crescent in Normanton. When are such streets going to be cleared to protect the crumbling pavements? Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, for your supplementary. As I've indicated in my question, the response to your question, I have put in place a process of improving the complex mechanism of trying to get weeds off streets, particularly streets, terrace properties with cars and bins in places like Normanton. The work is going on, and we will make sure that that is implemented to improve the weed clearance in that part of the city.
Thank you. We now move to item 7, questions related to Derbyshire Fire Authority or Derby Homes. None have been received. So on to item 8, questions from non-council cabinet members. We now move to questions from non-council cabinet members. 6 have been received ahead of the meeting. Again, I will not be asking an officer to read out the summary of the questions, but I will note that in Councillor Swan's absence, Councillor Peatfield is going to answer on her behalf. Thank you. So, Councillor John Wright, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the answer. It's, however, not very reassuring, because I would imagine the business case viability is predicated on realising the savings and not being able to verify them is very worrying. So my supplementary is, and it's an issue of constant concern to the public. What are the current satisfaction rates for Darcy and Ali? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright, for your supplementary question. We can get you the satisfaction rates for Darcy and Ali. I'm sure if you asked that question outside of full council, that would have been provided to you also. But let's just really understand the AI proposals, which Derby City Council is leading on nationally, is something we've had to do to make savings because of how badly austerity has hit councils like Derby. And it's okay for you to come here and ask questions, but during the previous budget consultation, which was quite extensive, exec scrutiny and then full council meetings as well, your group actually put proposals forward to add to the budget pressures rather than proposed any savings whatsoever.
Councillor Hassel, do you have a supplementary for Councillor Peatfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Peatfield, for your response. It's interesting that you mention job security and Infinity Parkway as areas where the council has been making efforts to create jobs. But I was wondering if you was as concerned as me from the news last week regarding the potential redundancies at Nuclear AMRC in the south of the city, with up to 30 jobs being lost across both Derby and the Warrington sites. I was just wondering if you could detail what interventions you have made and what you intend to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hassel, and please, you'll all have to forgive me a little today. I am in a considerable amount of back pain, so bear with me. Actually, it's easier to stand. It's just harder to get up. Yes, of course, we heard with concern about NAMRC, who is basically making redundancies at Sheffield University and the merging of AMRC and NAMRC. We know that obviously they have their facility on Infinity Park that is council owned and leased to them, but we don't have any direct line from them about how this announcement might affect Derby as yet. We will keep a very close eye on those things should they transpire. But as with Alstom, we will be there to support and fight for them on the front line if necessary.
Councillor Matt Holmes, do you have a supplementary for Councillor Peatfield?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the update, which we'll pass on to Mickletover residents. I also speak on behalf of my colleagues, Councillor Miles Patterson and Alison Holmes, when I say we accept that this is a complex legal process and a logistical challenge, but we'll soon be approaching a year since Storm Babette brought down the section of the wall. It's concerning that the ownership of the wall still hasn't been established. There does need to be a confirmed plan soon, and the cost of temporary lights, mounts, and most importantly, local residents on Cavendish Way, Western Road, and other nearby routes are seeing significantly increased traffic that we know is impacting on their quality of life. So, can you ensure that Councillor Swan presses for a resolution on ownership as soon as possible, and that an update letter from a highways team is delivered to residents in the area to complement the updates that we are relaying to residents as ward councillors?
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. I've asked officers to provide Councillor Swan with an update on the next steps and the likely timeframe for completion of the works by mid-August 2024. Why has it taken so long? Well, officers have been endeavouring to progress this matter, but of course there are always emergency interventions to be managed, like Mile Ash Lane and the delivery of the council's capital programme. So, you know, we work within the constraints, the financial constraints that we're within, and we work as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smale, do you have a supplementary for Councillor Peatfield?
No, I will defer, Mr. Mayor, and speak with Councillor Swan when she returns. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Morgan McGeehan, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I'm not sure who I'm thanking, actually. Councillor Shanker, thank you for the detailed response to the question. I wonder if you could elaborate on the specific role of this council in the partnerships referred to. Is this council proactively leading the projects or a participant of those projects? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan McGean. This council, since last May, has very proactively been leading works for our local economy with a number of businesses. I think the response at the previous meeting and up to the inboxes of the various group leaders from business leaders just demonstrates that. But also, I'd like to thank you for asking this question today, and obviously it's not a planted question, and we can both agree on that. You would have probably heard His Majesty's speech today and the vast array of measures put in there by the new Labour government to grow the economy, both at a national level and a local level, to invest in a national wealth fund, to create a proper GBR based here in Derby. All of this will grow the national economy and the local economy. What it won't do is go back to trust economics, which maybe your group support.
Councillor Matt Holmes, have you a supplementary for Councillor Dinser?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Residents across the city quite rightly expect that a curbside bin service is reliable and occurs on the scheduled day. It's one of the basic services that a competent local authority is judged upon. Based on the reply, I think there are two issues I'd like your view on. Firstly, I don't think nearly 3,000 bins not being emptied on any given day should be called performing well, especially when they're regularly the same streets as the case is in Mickletover. And within the working week for collection crews being Tuesday to Friday, as stated, can you confirm that the Monday clear-up day staff are paid overtime?
Thank you, Matthew. So I don't know the answer to that question. I'll find out and write back to you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, announcement of the Council Cabinet. Our next item of business relates to the announcement of the Council Cabinet following Councillor Nadine Peatsfield's election to the office of Executive Leader at our extraordinary meeting on the 18th of June. I will move a motion to receive the announcement from the Leader. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Shanker. I will make the approval of the meeting as given unless any councillor wishes to object. Can I invite... Don't get up if you're in pain, honestly.
No, thank you for your consideration, Mr. Mayor. It is a matter of personal pride and achievement to stand here as only the second ever woman leader of Derby City Council. I look across the city and I see brilliant women leading the university, the church, the voluntary sector, the Derbyan, in all walks of Derby business life. But in this chamber, it can sometimes feel a million miles away from reality. In here, women sometimes lack representation, the rights afforded to women in the workplace, and sadly, in some cases, lack the respect of some of our colleagues. It is my intention, Mr. Mayor, as leader, to lead by example, affording respect to my fellow councillors, all of them. We can agree to disagree while remaining civil and respectful. We can attack the policy without attacking the person. And I ask, is it possible to change the tone of this council from animosity to animation, from condescending to constructive? I will check my behaviour and I will ask every councillor to check theirs. And I ask you, Mr. Mayor, to support me in that. But if I do find any colleagues in this council chamber their behaviour lacking, I will draw attention to it and I will call it out. And so I politely and respectfully request of especially some male colleagues that perhaps they could tone down a little of the testosterone and maybe embrace the estrogen in the room. It can't do anyone any harm to get in touch with their feminine side, after all. Now, while the manner of my stepping into this role was a turbulent one, to say the least, It is now my mission to provide stability and continuity for the council, its workforce and the city. In order to achieve that, I have set myself, my new cabinet and my group 3 objectives to always keep in mind as we continue unimpeded in our administration. Firstly, we are all ambassadors of Derby on a local and national stage. We embrace the Team Derby ethic by working together for the good of Derby. We work together as a team, we work in partnership, and we work cross-party for the right outcomes. And as I said to Councillor Morgan McGeehan just moments ago, my door is literally always open. We will always do what is right for Derby with a city-first approach. And I sincerely hope that this is an objective that all councillors can adhere to and remember before we speak or act on that stage. Secondly, we remain focused on delivering our manifesto, now woven into the council plan. We've seen many successes in our first year of delivery, including keeping Ashgate Nursery open, saving our libraries from closure, setting up a city centre task force, launching the Derby Promise, bringing inspiration to young people and widening their horizons, delivering a recycling hub and partnering to create a furniture upcycling hub for struggling families, retaining the Levelling Up funding for culture in the city and finding a viable solution to reopen the Guildhall and demolish the assembly rooms, a carers forum, a social enterprise pilot. I could go on, and there is much more to deliver. Thirdly, we put people at the centre of our decision-making. Their well-being, physical and mental health, wealth, home, quality of life, environment, protection, their entertainment. We are all here thanks to the mandate of the people of Derby, and we do well to always remember that we serve them as best we can with the resources at our disposal. Our manifesto was broken down into 5 key themes which have served us well in the past year and will continue to do so. Putting people first, a city centre for all, protecting our planet, responsible leadership, and delivering your services. Please know that we strive to achieve all these things, finances willing. Where we lack finance, we will seek other avenues. And where we have found challenge, we will reassess those finances and priorities. I am, as I speak, writing to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government to verbalise some of those challenges and lay out what we need to do to overcome them. And so to portfolio roles. As I said, stability is vital for Derby's future, for investment, for confidence and the delivery of the city centre vision, which we all signed up to. For that reason, I remain portfolio holder for city centre, regeneration, culture, tourism, economic growth, and now with added strategy and policy. Supporting me to achieve my mission of stability and objectives, and joining now I'm going to take a punt here, and I have not researched this, but it's just gut instinct. I believe this may be Derby City Council's first ever predominantly female cabinet. You can give a round of applause if you like for that. Thank you. Having said that, my first announcement is the Deputy Leader, Councillor Paul Heselgrave, who will take the role of Cabinet Member for Children, Young People and Skills. Councillor Alison Martin remains as Cabinet Member for Health and Adult Care. Councillor Carmel Swan remains as Cabinet Member for Climate Change, Transport and Sustainability. We welcome Councillor Sarah Chambers, who will be the Cabinet Member for Cost of Living, Equalities and Communities. We welcome Councillor Kathy Kozlowski, who will take the role of Cabinet Member for Governance and Finance. Councillor Shiraz Khan remains Cabinet Member for Housing, Strategic Planning and Regulatory Services. And we welcome Councillor Ndukwe Onwaha, Cabinet Member for Street Pride, Public Safety and Leisure. And finally, Councillor Hardil Dinza, who takes on a new role of Cabinet Member for Digital and Organisational Transformation. And just a nice little piece of serendipity there. In order to arrive at the perfect title for that role, we actually put in the job role we entered the job role into ChatGPT, and that was what it came up with. So I think that's right and fitting. Once again, I reiterate, I do look forward to continuing our administration unimpeded and focused on stability, responsible leadership and delivery. I look forward to working with all of you, and I welcome the new members of the Cabinet. Let's get to work.
Thank you, Councillor Peatfield. We now move on to item 10, minute extract 1024 of the Audit and Governance Committee held on the 12th of June 24. The next item of business is a minute extract from the recent meeting of the Audit and Governance Committee presenting the 2023-24 annual report to the Council for approval. Councillor Morgan McGeehan, as Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee, both this year and last, would you like to move the minute for approval, please?
I would like to move the minute as written, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Wright, thank you very much. Are there any other speakers? None, thank you. Can we move to the vote, please? All those in support? That's moved, thank you very much. Item 11, minute extract 924 of the Council Cabinet meeting held on the 12th of June 2024. Our final item of business is a minute extract from last month's meeting of the Council Cabinet relating to compliance with the Council's Contract of Financial Procedure rules. The minute proposes an updated borrowing requirement arising from the replacement of the refuge collection vehicles and a technical amendment to the split of council tax between the adult social care and the core council tax elements, both of which require the approval of the full council. Councillor Peatfield, without putting yourself at undue harm, do you want to move this minute, please?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Mayor. This was brought to Cabinet recently. It is required of full council to approve this. It is purely a minor adjustment, just so that all of the figures are correct and present. It's a matter of pounds and pence, I believe. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll take a seconder, please, if somebody wants to second it. Councillor Hazelgrave, thank you very much. Are there any further speakers? Can I move to the vote, please? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you very much. And that concludes our business for this evening. Thank everyone for attending, and I look forward to seeing you again in September. What is the wife going to do with me at home tonight now?
They were feeling all right.
Thank you, everybody.